the issue of the history of the energy crisis has come up now. And I think it's important that we get the history right. After the 1966 coup against Nkrumah, the government then brought in a British expert who insisted that we didn't need to expand capacity. Okay? Now, at the time, the Soviet Union has sent experts to build the Bui Dam. They were actually on site, and so we stopped that project. The Soviet experts went back home. That is why the Bui Dam delayed all this time because of the advice of this guy. I've forgotten his name. I think it was, his name ends with a Croft, you know. So we stopped the Bui Dam project. Now, if you look at the 7-year development plan of the Nkrumah regime, it proposed mini hydro projects across the country. That was also stopped. We've never done it after today. It was stopped, completely stopped. You understand? At the time, we were also seriously considering the nuclear option for power generation and had actually entered into an agreement with the Soviet Union. That was also stopped on the advice of a so-called British energy expert. That is where our problems began. And in fact, the problems in the energy sector, some think that it was caused by the Kufuor administration. It's not true. The crisis was already there, you know, before Kufuor came to power.
It only hit us.
It only hit us during the Kufuor regime. And in fact, we were very lucky to have had a government with foresight, like the Achampong government, which did a number of generation plans and so on before the Kufuor era. Otherwise, the problem would have been much more severe in the Kufuor era. The problem started with the overthrow of Nkrumah. Now,
no, it was during President Rawlings' time that Mr. Atuahoe, as Secretary of Power, at that time they were Secretary, right? Where the T1, T2, and others were done, the non-hydro plants. Yeah.
Now, the solutions you are giving us cannot work. They won't work. You understand?
Why?
Because that is not the problem he's addressing.
Okay, but that's futuristic.
No problem. The real problem we have now is that based on government's own figures, we are spending 128% of total national revenue on debt repayment, debt servicing, and public sector emoluments. There's no money to do anything.
It's lower now because of the debt restructuring.
Yeah, because that's why I looked at the...
So all the things that you're talking about, how are we going to find the money to finance them? In fact, today, if you want to build gutter, is that how they call it?
Yes.
Gutter.
Yes, on the streets. That's how they call
gutter. Gutter stuff we can't build. So that is the problem.
You know what you said?
Yeah.
On the sidelines of the spring meeting of the World Bank and IMF, the finance minister was asked about all these energy things, and he talks about the fact that they are engaging the IPPs for a debt restructuring plan. Probably next month they will have that plan. Then he hints that we're also working with the World Bank to provide some meters, 1 million meters for us.
You see, so the problem is deep, really deep. I mean, this is a manifestation of a deliberate mismanagement of the national economy. Deliberate. Taking loans left, right, and center. When we are taking loans, you must be looking at your capacity to pay.
Otherwise, how do you collect 33 billion in the name of ESLA? At the time when you said the thing was 9 billion, you were going to float bonds or whatever to retire. You did about 5 billion. And you were just paying interest and left the principal. The others, principal plus interest, were growing. As we speak, you have collected 33 billion from ESLA. The ESLA, the energy sector debt, has moved from the 9 billion to 17 billion. What explains that? You have added energy sector recovery levy, ESRL, to ESLA. As for that one, we don't know how much you have raked in. And yet we have this situation. What explains it?
So, the sensible solution, realistic solution, is to treat what is happening as a manifestation of economic malaise. What do we do with the national economy so that we can generate enough resources to cater for our needs? This is the fundamental question before us now. How come that a country as rich as Ghana, potentially rich as Ghana, is unable to meet its obligations to its citizens? This is the fundamental question. You cannot isolate energy. It is the whole pack. And you know, I don't like doing what a lot of people like to do, going back to earlier manifesto promises and what politicians said in the past and so on. It's not a solution. That is finding where to put the blame. But even when we have found where to put the blame, the problem must be solved. So I'm not going to do that, what people said and so on. Of course, now everybody knows that what they said, had no meaning, just platform talk to catch votes and so on. But we have a fundamental economic problem that needs to be addressed. Many solutions have been provided and so on. I don't think anybody is working with them. Because if you go to the IMF and the World Bank, it means, first and foremost, you don't even understand the problem. And you have no intention of solving the problem. Because what the World Bank and the IMF provides is not a solution. It's just to give you some little cushion to play around for a few years. The problem will hit you again. You understand? So now we are in this crisis. Industry is affected. And according to the industry insiders, some industries are actually collapsing. We have this massive unemployment problem. And if you have a massive unemployment problem, industries start collapsing and so on, it means that the situation is getting exacerbated and all. Let us admit the facts. That this is where we are, these are the facts. Let us all work to find a solution to the problem. This populist, childish, retort that our DUMSOR is better than the DUMSOR previously, we shouldn't hear it again. It's so annoying. So very annoying. I mean, I don't think that anybody expects to hear that again from anybody. We have made you ministers and so on, chief executives and so on, to solve our problems.